Where are you, Crazy Bee?
1 second. All right. There we go. Now we're on.
Good afternoon,
Hello.
everybody.
Oh,
Yes,
hello,
oh,
hello,
is right.
hello.
Right.
Oh,
And we are back on our tablet, and we will explain why in a few moments. I do want to take the opportunity to thank everybody that has been participating in the chat, all of those new subscribers that we have, and for everybody that has liked and followed. As you know, that is the biggest ask that right now we're asking for is to please like, follow, subscribe if you can, comment if you can. It really helps the algorithm. It's pretty cool to actually type our name in and now actually start to see some things pop up. Crazy Bee created a funny short. If you haven't seen it, go check it out from our little escapade the other day. We received some comments that people thought we were mad at one another, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. You guys are going to have to get to know my sense of humor as well as Crazy Bees, and we go back and forth quite well. As I said, we seldom argue, so if you think we're arguing about something, you would be mistaken. We were not mad at one another. In fact, it was pretty damn funny. After we finished the live, we probably talked for half an hour and were hysterical. I mean, my stomach hurt so bad from laughing. All I kept
oh yeah.
hearing was her screaming, I need my inhaler and my face hurts. And that just set me off into tears. And she couldn't control herself whatsoever. She was hysterical laughing. Then, if that wasn't bad, the next morning when we reiterated what happened the day before, we brought everything up and it started all over again. So we were laughing our asses off. I mean, it just was the funniest thing that has ever happened, I think.
Blue Rose
When
says D was just hangry. And hello, Blue
Yes,
Rose.
I was. Yes, Blue was absolutely correct. I was hungry on top of everything. You guys don't know, but while that was all going on, I tiptoe quietly into the kitchen and I made roll up uh, roast beef and Swiss cheese. And I was trying not to crinkle any paper or do anything. And when I got back, it was at the end of one of the sections the Crazy Bee had read. And she's like, Dee, do you have any comments? And I'm like, no, not
Actually, it was a
really.
video. It was
Because
part of the video.
yeah, because I had gone to make that little roast beef cheese sandwich thing. It was so funny. I mean, just one thing after another. After the we were done live and we figured out what happened, it was
Oh.
like you guys were all in on the joke with Crazy Bee and that I was the problem. And here I was insisting that she was the problem because the whole
Until I
time
did
that
the playback.
yeah, I mean, the whole time I'm listening to her, I'm hearing all this crackling, all this noise. I can't hear her. I mean, and I'm blaming her, and you guys were like all in on the joke except me. It had to be the funniest thing
Well,
that
it
I,
wasn't a joke. It was definitely funny, though. I
oh
will
yeah,
say that.
uh huh.
Definitely funny.
I'm glad you
But
were
again,
amused.
because on your end it sounded normal to you, but then
Right.
when you hear the playback and how long I have to
Uh
wait
huh.
before you
Yes.
respond is when it made sense. That lag is really
Uh-huh.
messing with us, and it was just too funny.
And you're there counting, telling me you're counting on your finger, going thumb, forefinger, middle finger, ring finger, baby finger, and I'm
Now
like,
she talks, and I'm counting down the
like
5 seconds.
right, like
Yes.
she doesn't know how to count. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know that much. So I had tried everything on my end to fix it. It was just crazy. So now, uh, after we were talking, I'm back on my tablet because we still are having problems with the laptop.
Yep.
And Crazy Bee says, yeah, well, we really do have to get your vehicle fixed. And When we're
And
done
it's
with this live, we'll see about getting that
no,
done.
I said there are programs that power up on your,
Uh,
vehicle when you
uh-huh.
power up your vehicle, and I meant to say
Power up,
PC,
yes.
but for some reason, vehicle jumped
Pop
into
up,
my
yeah.
head as I'm saying we need to power up because there's a lot of those startup the programs that start when the computer starts, and then they just run in the background, eating up
Right.
RAM and CPU. So I'm gonna help you go in and shut down what we can, remove what bloatware we can, and just kind of try to get that PC your
Right.
laptop running a bit smoother.
And it's funny because we had no problems in the beginning, and I have no idea what set it off. So,
Well,
it-
you started downloading programs to your
right.
computer,
Well,
and the more
and
you
don't
download,
forget,
the more you gotta
right.
adjust.
And don't forget about Techno Ghost. We have
Yeah,
decided,
Techno Ghost was fun. I haven't figured that one out yet.
yes, and we have decided that Techno Ghost will be part of the programming and may
If he
appear from
shows
time
up,
to time. Correct, right? And we've determined it is male. He is male.
yes.
So, yes. Hmm. So
But then
we
again, women have a tendency of sticking their nose where it doesn't belong and get really gossipy. So it might be a woman, if you think about it, a gossipy woman.
well, you're the one that said it was male, so who
Yeah,
was
we'll go with male until it happens too many more times.
okay. All right. We shall see. So that's where we're at with that. Do we do you have anything to say about what transpired? Would you
Oh,
like to reassure the audience that we were not angry with one another?
there was no way we were angry. I know at a few moments it sounded that way, but
Hmm.
no, no one was angry with each other about that. Um, it was more of a frustration than an anger, I believe,
Right.
on your part, D. And I'm just sitting here laughing, trying to count between so I don't accidentally overtalk you because I'm able to adapt to the lag a little bit faster because I've got so much experience with laggy and glitchy shit.
Right. Remember now we're coming back from 2007, so I
Well,
have
you
quite
are.
a bit. Yes, I have quite a bit of catching up to do. And
Yes, and that's why I was being patient with it as
oh,
best as
thank
possible
you for
and
that, for being
trying
so
not to
patient.
laugh at you,
Uh-huh.
but laugh at the situation
Hmm.
because, oh my god, D, that was just too funny.
I
That was
mean, I
epic.
was not mad. I was just being emphatic of what needed to be done because she was not listening. That's all.
Well, it's
That's
because
just,
you kept cutting in the middle of me talking because you
I
still hadn't heard what I said because the
right.
5 seconds hadn't passed, and it was really
Exactly, that
freaking
which made it
funny.
yeah, which made it hysterical. I mean, it was when I went back and listened to it, it was just ridiculous.
I
It
was
was just
trying to work around the lag, but
I know.
you weren't able to because on your end, it doesn't sound like a lag.
Nope,
I'm coming
nope.
through, but on my end, I most definitely noticed that lag. And today, when we
Mhm.
jumped in, the lag was a little bit worse. It was
Right.
almost 7 seconds. And I'm
Yes.
like, no, maybe, if it's going to be easier, instead of having to count after each sentence,
Yes.
just
Did
go
it
ahead and jump on the tablet and we'll fix up the
yeah,
PC
yeah,
system so
because
it's not that bad.
we actually tried it, and waited the 7 seconds, and it wasn't gonna work, so
Nope.
it
It
wouldn't
it was
yeah.
just it would have been just another entertaining day of frustration and
Uh,
laughter and me needing an inhaler and hurt
yes.
abdomen,
Right. Do you
face
think that
muscles
maybe you
hurting.
should take your inhaler now before we get started?
I did take my inhaler not too long ago because I
Okay.
did start wheezing from environmental reasons. We
Right?
need to clean our air filter for sure. Good luck getting my kids to help with that. But
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna try to get that done tonight, or tomorrow morning. But yeah, I already took my inhaler and it is right next to me in the
Thank
event that I
you.
do need it.
Thank you.
So
That's good. And just to let you know, you may hear me hollering. Jacob is here. He will be here till tomorrow, so I've asked him
yeah,
to
your son will be staying here, and if till tomorrow morning, if that's okay. And a final pause.
yes.
No,
Yes. Please note your son will be staying here through tomorrow morning, if that's okay. So that's the way that went down. So I
you
had to
love your
keep the
grandbabies. That is very clear.
yes, my baby's here, so we may have interruptions. regarding Legos that are needed to be purchased. So I've
That
asked him
is
to,
perfectly
yeah,
fine.
I've asked him to be quiet, but you never know. So it's
Mm.
2 hours is a great,
Family comes first, especially children. They
yeah,
need to know if now and again there's no problem with holding up a finger while
right,
you finish a thought or
right,
while someone else is finishing a thought and then say, "I will be right back,"
right.
and
And
talk to the
then we'll,
kiddo.
and then we'll mic my mute, is as I said before, right? We'll
Mike
mic
my
my,
mute.
yeah,
Yes, I remember that. Oh my god, that
yes.
was another good one.
We'll mic
Holy
my
shit.
mute. We need to keep a list of this stuff. Um,
Oh, our verbal dyslexia has gotten
correct.
worse.
So today, in fact, if you wouldn't mind throwing out the Discord link, I know we do have it floating around
I've
there,
got
but if,
to pull this up. One
okay,
moment, please, as you say. And
yes.
feel free to
Oh,
scream,
yes.
talk to a person.
Yes, that's another thing that we had a discussion on, and Crazy Bee does not like it, but now that I know she doesn't like it, I will have to come up with some more of them. She does not like when I say, "One moment, please." Technical support
You
is,
remind me
yeah.
of the
I remind
AI
her of
bot.
AI. So now that I know that, I'm gonna have to work some new sayings in there. One moment, please, while Crazy Bee tries to pull up the Discord link. So the
Uh,
Discord link is in the chat. And for anybody that has not joined, we ask that you do so. Conversations do continue in the general chat, as well as you can find various information in the Discord that you might not otherwise see uh, on Rumble or on YouTube. Things that we may or may not be able to talk about. Also gives you a chance to network with other people that are members. Um, so what happened was we had a segment in the economy section, and that led to two of our members having a discussion going back and forth that led for, I'd say, a couple hours, and off and on. And information was exchanged, ideas were exchanged. And from that, I went back and I also participated in a little bit in there.
mhm.
Um, and I extrapolated some definitions that I thought were important to the conversation that we were having. Now, these definitions that I'd like to share with you, they led me to, of course, all other types of things. And we truly could go on for, as they do in college, a whole semester of here's the economy, macro, micro. Um, and
Everything
as
in
you know,
between.
everything in between. And as you know, I'm working on my doctoral thesis in the podcasting business on these areas. The crazy bee will be evaluating me. So, hence we have 8 definitions. And what I did was,
There's more than 8
there's 8, but there's within those 8
subcategories to the 2
subcategories.
of them.
Correct. So there's a total of 8 definitions. And what I'm going to do is just briefly pull an article up for you, give you the definition, and there may or may not be some examples. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. All I wanted to do was provide the definition, uh, the title, the definition, and this is what was discussed in the Discord between two members. Now, it was not as detailed as what we have here, but the subject was brought up. And so
Mhm.
I think that's pretty cool that based on our discussion, it sparked further discussion between people, and that's what we're looking for. So, with that being said, Crazy Bee, if
Here's the first one.
okay, hold on, let me pull that up.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you wanna pull up a screen on
Yeah,
your end, and I'll just scroll through
right,
to where you wanna be.
right. So this first one I think is rather interesting. It is the historical US inflation rate by year from 1929 all the way through 2025. It was posted in February. So
Yep.
the inflation rate typically, the US inflation rate by year shows how much prices for goods and services rise year over year. The inflation rate typically reacts to phases of the business cycle, which is the natural cycle of expansion and contraction that the economy goes through over time. The Federal Reserve has a target annual inflation rate of 2%, and it uses monetary policy to keep inflation in check and stabilize the economy when inflation rises above that benchmark. And if you scroll down the article, the key takeaways from this are, as I said,
Oh,
go ahead.
there-
As I
oh,
said, mentioned above, the additional pieces are in 2022, inflation reached some of the highest levels seen since 1981, hitting 9.1% in the wake of the COVID 19 pandemic. I like how everything is blamed on COVID all the time.
well, they did shut down the economy, which did
They
jack
did.
up the rates and everything like that.
True. Um, I, I'm trying to think of,
Oops, my hand. There
you know,
was actually something brought up in the video about how our debt in one of the videos today, how our debt was like really nothing
right,
until
COVID, right. I'm trying to think, you know, uh,
right from like less than a trillion in debt all the way to 5 trillion in debt.
mhm.
And
For
that will be covered a little bit.
right, and out of curiosity, how many people felt like the pandemic really affected them in their day-to-day living? I mean, there was obviously some issues in the beginning with you couldn't find toilet paper, we talked about, you couldn't find pasta or sauce or milk or whatever. But was it that really that significant is my question. Could you go about your day today and really not notice uh, the effects of COVID?
I think for people in the country, they didn't really notice. People in the city where things are closer and more populated, you'll see it more
Mm-hmm. Okay. The 12-month percentage change for inflation for
because
December.
cities are heavily more related than small towns.
Right, right. So the 12-month percentage change for inflation for December of 2024 was 2.9%. And we had already talked about, let me go through this real quick. The inflation rate is the percentage change in the price of products and services from one year to the next. Two of the most common ways to measure inflation are the Consumer Price Index, also known as the CPI, calculated by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the Personal Consumption Expenditures, the PCE Price Index from the Bureau of Economic Analysis, BEA. The CPI measures the changes in prices paid by U.S. consumers over time, and it is the most popular way to gauge inflation. If I recall correctly, uh, weren't wasn't there an issue with the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the way
Oh
they?
yeah,
Mhm,
they over calculated just to make Biden look good and then quietly dialed their numbers back.
right, that's what I
Yes.
thought. Yep. Uh, I would like to see if we could find a piece on that maybe later just to add to our information. Because I
Oh
do,
yeah.
yeah, I thought I recalled something going on with Biden that they did. So again, this is I don't want to go through all this and bore you, but this is a good piece of information, especially since it goes back to 1929 and all the way through 2025. You can see the rate of inflation.
Actually, I think that graph is down lower, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yes, here it is. In 1929, it was 0.60%.
Mm-hmm.
In 1930, it was negative 6.4. That's the depression. As
Right.
you can see, it peaked at negative 10. Wow. Wow. Oh, hello, cannabis connoisseur. There's the word. Hello, Brent. I see everyone's
Hi.
starting to pop in.
Yeah.
Everyone's trickling in. So yeah,
Good
and it's
afternoon.
slowly been rising and falling. In 1942, it hit 9%, or
Mm,
in 41, it was 9.9. Wow, 1946 was an 18% inflation. What? That is wild. Hold on. I want to see. They claimed so much that the 80s were bad. Let me
right.
see what it
Go
was in
to
the 80s because we just saw
go
that
to 82.
18%.
Go to 1982.
We saw that. Wait, those are bad? We just saw one that was 18%.
Right.
Am I reading the right part? Hold on. Am I reading the
Yeah,
right
I
part?
believe. Yeah. Hold on.
That, oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
is inflation.
Right.
So 82 was not nearly as bad as that one from the
No.
1940s.
Nope.
It was only 3.8,
Mm-hmm.
8.9. Um, then it dropped and raised, dropped and raised. Let's get to where they claim it was so horrible. And 20 Oh, it still was not as bad as 82 or 48. None of these are. They're high, but not nearly as bad as
Right.
they were in 48.
Right.
48 was our worst in history. So why do they keep pointing out 1982?
I have no clue.
Um, because it's easier to fool people than convince them they have been
And
fooled.
fold. There you go.
That is so true.
Yes, sir.
Uh, yeah, this is just some more. The BLS adjustments are notorious.
Right. And that's what I don't like about them.
Uh-huh.
To the point of we've had with Biden, so many numbers have been manipulated by so many departments, bureaus that I don't,
Oh, I was wrong. It was 1946. My
yeah,
bad.
I don't feel confident in just about anything that's put out anymore. Crime
Mhm.
statistics all wrong, things deliberately left out. It's where do you go anymore to get accurate information?
Who
Uh,
knows?
but this is what has been produced. So let's go to Hey Art, how you doing? Let's go to number two, please.
Alrighty. Share this page. Um, and I want to say thank you, Brent, for sending that to me in the DMs. I will pull that up when we're done going through this. So go ahead.
Okay, so we have deflation. That is the decrease in the general price of services and goods. It occurs when the inflation rate falls below 0%. That's a negative inflation rate. Inflation reduces the value of currency over time, but deflation increases it. This allows more goods and services to be bought than before with the same amount of currency. Deflation is distinct from disinflation, a slowdown in the inflation rate. That is, when inflation declines to a lower rate but is still positive. Economists generally believe that a sudden deflationary shock is a problem in a modern economy because it increases the real value of debt, especially if the deflation is unexpected. It may also aggravate recessions and lead to a deflationary spiral. Some economists argues that prolonged deflationary periods are related to the underlying technological progress in an economy because as productivity increases, TFP, the cost of goods, decreases. Again, the article goes on to discuss what deflation is, and that will be listed in the uh,
Description
thank you.
of the
Whatever
video.
that Yeah, whatever that thing's called that we do,
Yeah, the
right?
thing.
Okay, the
Yeah, the
thing.
place where we put all our
Yeah,
links.
you know, the thing that the thing is in the vehicle. It's in the vehicle somewhere. In the glove box, right? It's in the glove
Or the trunk or the
or
boot,
front.
depending on which country you're from.
Exactly. There you go. All right. Item number 3, please.
There we are.
Okay, so this is stagnation, how it works, and an example. We're just going to do the definition on here. Stagnation is a prolonged period of little or no growth in an economy, often highlighted by periods of high unemployment, a rate of growth of less than 2 to 3% annually, as measured by the gross domestic product, the GDP, is considered stagnation. Uh, it can occur on a macroeconomic scale or in specific industries or companies. It may either be a temporary condition, such as growth recession, temporary economic shock, or part of an economy's long term structural condition. Let me just see. Okay. All right. So there are different types: cyclical, uh, economic shocks, structural stagnation, and I believe,
Then it
uh,
goes into
yes,
overcoming.
overcoming. Overcoming governments commonly implement a monetary policy or fiscal policy that spurs economic growth using tools such as, and you'll see increasing, of course, government spending,
We
decrease,
lost. Oh, there you are.
okay, increasing government spending, decreasing taxes and regulation, lowering interest rates, and then definition between stagnation versus stagflation versus recession. You can read about all of those uh, and some real world examples. We'll get that out. There was the recession. Uh, was the largest one. And again, there's a whole article for you to peruse in our description listed below. Again, this was a definition or a word that was used in our Discord that we wanted to provide for everybody out there since it's been economy. What was supposed to be a week that has turned into 2 weeks. What do we have up next, Crazy? Being number 4, correct?
Yep, we're on to number 4.
Okay, and
There we go.
yeah, that was just a basic AI overview. I didn't want to go into too much, but the word buying power popped up, and that refers to the amount of goods and services an individual can purchase with a specific amount of money. It essentially reflects the purchasing power of currency. In simpler terms, it's how much you can buy with the money that you have. Factors influencing buying power are prices of goods and services, inflation, deflation, income, and the exchange rate. There's an example listed below that you can read, and some additional information. All you need to do is click on it. This was just a Google search for what is the definition of buying power. All right, next up, Crazy Bee, we have, do you want to read article number 5?
What is the gold standard?
Yes, ma'am.
The gold standard is a monetary system in which the value of the country's currency is directly linked to gold. With the gold standard, countries agree to convert paper money into a fixed amount of gold. A country that uses the gold standard sets the prices for gold and it buys and sells gold at that price. That fixed price is in turn used to determine the value of its currency. For example, if the US hypothetically set the price of gold at $500 an ounce, the value of the dollar would be 1/500th of an ounce of gold. Um, it was President Nixon who terminated this nonsense. Well, actually, it was a decent program, but since gold is a finite system, of finite metal on the planet. There's only so much. It's not like we can create it. Um, so yeah, I can understand why there's not enough gold to back it up. Use of the gold standard. The gold standard is not currently used by any government. Britain stopped using the gold standard in 1931, and the US followed in suit in 1933, finally abandoning the remnants of the system in 1973. The gold standard was completely replaced by fiat money, a term to describe currency that is used because of a government's order or fiat that the currency must be accepted as a means of payment in the US. For instance, a dollar is fiat money, and in Nigeria, the yeah, is. So, yeah. The appeal of the gold standard is that it arrests control of the issuance of money out to the hands of imperfect human beings, with the physical quantity of gold acting as a limit to issuance. A society can potentially avoid perils of inflation. Look at that. There's that
Wait.
word again.
Yeah, hold on a second. The appeal of a gold standard is that it arrests control of the issuance of money out of the hands of imperfect human beings. What the hell does that mean?
Well, people get greedy, people get lazy, and instead of having to keep control on the amount of money we print, they can now just print fiat money out of thin air and say, "Yep, there's our currency. We have nothing to promise to back it up, but there you go."
Wow.
And since humans are imperfect, because yes, they do get greedy and will often print off more money than we can actually back up.
Like we've just done in the past recently? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that
that
kind of stuff.
those people that did that are imperfect human beings then? Okay. Just
Yeah,
wanted to all right. Just wanted to
well, nope,
okay.
no,
All
but gold is very perfect. Gold is pretty.
right. So
Sorry.
diamonds. So are
Next
diamonds.
one.
Go ahead.
Did no, I was trying to say, did you
No,
want the next one?
whatever. Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
Okay, let's jump to the next one so we don't take too long.
Yeah. And again, we're just trying to go over briefly the definitions that had popped up in the Discord. If you have not joined already, please do so. Crazy B had posted in the comments how to join. And with that, you'll be privy to things that occur after we have fun in the programming. And again, for those that just joined us, we had some messaging that Crazy B and I were arguing or fighting or were mad at one another the other day, and that was the furthest thing from the truth. We were actually hysterically laughing, and yeah, if you go look at one of the shorts that she created, do a search for Wrecked Sisters, you will see the craziness of the two of us. Okay, so you have anything? Go ahead. I hear you chuckling in the background. Or
Just about all the videos and the last live we did on Rex Sisters and the chaos of lag.
uh-huh. Are you gonna need your inhaler again pretty soon? Mm,
No, I'm good.
okay.
Yeah,
So
crypto
then,
is an interesting thing, but I don't know enough about it to comfortably speak on it.
yeah, I know nothing about uh, crypto or any of those services. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm completely lost on it.
even the remember there was talk of, you'd have a chip put in your hand and, you'd go to Walmart and be able to have scan your bank account and uh, they actually had people do that. I wonder how that ever turned out.
It's an RFID,
Yeah.
yeah, radio
Or I
frequency
chip.
embedded
Yeah.
chip thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they use the same technology to tag your dogs. You know, the
Right.
implant ones that
Yeah.
they put in dogs.
Yes.
Same
Chase has.
technology,
Yeah.
the
Chase
chips.
has one. Yep.
Yep.
I'm not get
So
I'm not getting chipped. No way.
I don't want to get chipped. Um, I no, like in a medical circumstance, having a chip with your medical history in your hand and you come in unconscious
Right.
would be a good thing. But I don't think I would want my banking linked to it.
No. No,
I
definitely not.
don't want that. I mean, I can see good and bad in these things. And
You know what's
again,
there's a company that, I could purchase a waterproof, chip, like a chip. I can plug it
mhm,
into my laptop, right? Keep all my medical information on there, get it downloaded into this bracelet, okay? It would have
uh-huh.
everything you needed. Do you know that the hospital will not accept it?
Yep. Do you want to know why?
Yep, they claim that it would potentially compromise any of their
Other
systems.
patient information. So as much as they put that out there as a nice little convenience, it cannot be used by the hospitals because of the risk of a viral of
Uh,
computer virus
yes, yep,
hacking into their system.
correct.
So
The
as
paramedics
great
won't take it
as
either.
it would
Yep.
be,
The paramedics won't take it, nothing. So you're like,
that's
mhm,
yep. It's very alarming that they even sell
right. Yep. Very it's
things because you
okay. Is it me that now I can't hear anything?
nope, I heard your phone ring, so I stopped.
Oh, okay. That was my alarm. It's okay. I thought there was a lag again. Here we go. We're starting now at 3 whatever. We're going to be lagging.
Well, I just wanted to make sure you
Thank
didn't
you
need to
so much.
answer that. I was giving you a minute to, decide whether you needed to answer the call or
I
not.
appreciate that, Crazy B, but I thought that I was losing my mind again and I'm gonna be talking to myself, but that's okay.
Cannabis says if your animals are chipped, try and remove them as soon as possible. Why's that? I'm curious if there's something I don't know
Yeah,
about.
because I have Chase's chipped. He has to be chipped.
Yeah.
He's a runner, and I told you the police have had him, Amazon has had him, UPS has had him, the post office has had him, the neighbors have had him. He's been everybody pretty much, and he's gone as far as almost 5 miles from the house.
I can believe it.
Hmm. Once
We
he gets a
actually
scent, yeah, once he gets a scent, it's over.
well, I know I sent you the picture of that one hound dog, the basset hound that was, strolling
Yeah,
around our neighborhood, and we gave him a whole chicken. He
right.
was adorable. But, oh, FDIC. The FDIC, or Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, is an independent U.S. government agency that insures deposits at banks and savings associations, which is why if you rob a bank, it is a federal offense. Just, Bonnie and Clyde should have, thought
Mm,
about this. Actually,
right.
I think it's because of them that the FDIC came into place. Um, Oh, D, just remembered, I may be schizophrenic, but we'll always have each other. Love that art. You're great.
Oh, now I'm schizophrenic. Okay.
No, he's schizophrenic. He says,
Oh,
I may be schizophrenic,
oh,
but we'll
but we
always
always
have each
well,
other.
I'm taking that to mean that I'm schizophrenic too. I know I'm something. We just haven't figured out what that is yet, right?
Um, the purpose of the FDIC's primary goal is to maintain stability and public confidence in the financial system by protecting depositors. The FDIC insurance insures deposit accounts at a FDIC insured bank up to $250,000 per depositor per insured bank. This means that if a bank fails, the FDIC will pay out insured deposits. Um, they always put out a pulse, which can cause cancer within the animal.
Really? Oh, don't you know what? Wow, that's weird because you know he has cancer. Wow.
That
That
surprises me.
that's creepy.
Oh
That is
my
r
god.
that's really creepy. Damn. Wow.
Wow. That's interesting. I did not
You're not
know that.
I didn't know that either. I'm gonna have to check into that because that would be very disturbing. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he he was supposed to have been he's in such bad shape. They didn't expect him to live as of last July of 2023. So he has made it for quite some time. I mean, but he's going downhill pretty bad. In fact, I've been postponing making a vet appointment for him because I don't want to get any further bad news. But this is crazy. I mean, he has a tumor on him that, wow, that's freaky. If that's true that there's a correlation between the chip and dogs getting having cancer, wow.
That might be a fun rabbit hole to dive into.
Uh-huh. Yep. Wow. That's
Interesting.
messed up. Thank you for the info. I never
I
would have
appreciate it.
Yeah, I never would have known. I never would have even looked it up. I never even who would have thought that the correlation would be there? You just think that that that's the best thing to have your animal chipped so that I can have them tracked. I'm curious now. See, I apologize for going off topic, but now I'm curious, is the same uh the tracking devices like the what are they called? Apple Pods or something like.
Oh, the GPS type
Yeah.
stuff?
Wonder if
The air tags and
yeah,
those?
the air tags. Yeah. I wonder if they're safe. Like could you
Oh,
just have that on.
Cannabis is looking for a video that, he just seen. Okay. You
Thank
can
you.
drop the link in the chat, and I'll grab it from there and put it into the Discord server, unless you wanna join the Discord, in which case, feel free.
Right.
Um, I can drop the link to that again, and you can always drop it there. That is an option as well. Where did I put? Nope, wrong hands, wrong. Stop being stupid. This one. Um, Let me highlight this. No, that's too much of it. There we go. And there's that again for the Discord server. Um, Feel free at any time to jump in and post stuff like that because we will look into it.
Oh, definitely.
100% looking into that. So, um, also, if you have Wi-Fi electric meter in the house, they admit a pulse which can cause people to become sick from them. I'm actually really sensitive to those, and if they are in the house or under the house, I have a serious problem. I lived in a house with one, and it kept causing me to get migraines and vertigo. And we had when we moved out, ironically, it stopped. So I found out that I'm sensitive to those meters.
Wow. That's something. Hmm.
Mhm.
See,
Well,
we learned something new today.
yes, we did. And we're about to learn something else new. The
Yeah.
term a government bailout.
Bailouts. Yes.
So government bailout is a financial assistance provided by the government to a company, industry, or sometimes a country facing financial difficulties or the threat of bankruptcy. This assistance can take various forms, including cash injections, loans, loan guarantees, and even the stock purchases. The primary goal is to prevent the company or industry from collapsing, which could have wider economic consequences. Um, What's this? Wearing wireless earbuds is like a microwave when on. Also, never touch your phone when charging. Well, I'm gonna die because I'm always on
Mhm.
my phone while it's charging, and I use wireless earbuds routinely.
We
Um,
gotta go one way or another.
yeah. Why bailouts occur? Obviously, governments aren't intending to. The companies don't like to, be smart with their money, and it kind of, collapses them. And then the government comes in and says, here, let us help. Like we saw with the big three in
Mm,
2008, nine, whatever it was,
mhm.
when Obama bailed them all, well, bailed two of the three out. Um, so yeah, I was a little bit irritated during that time because one, I lived in the area of those big three,
Right,
and I knew a lot of people who worked for the companies. And that is when we saw a bunch of employees getting laid off, and all these auto workers took the McDonald's jobs and were, because they're taking any job. And that's
right,
when the complaint about minimum wage started to happen. So interesting because, people with a lot of years of work experience, yeah, they're going to take them over a teenager in a heartbeat.
correct.
But fast food is supposed to be for teenagers to learn how to work, and adults are supposed to be in their careers.
Right.
But thousands and thousands of employees were laid off during the shutdowns during the bailout, and most of those people never got hired back. They took early retirements and stuff like that. Just a little tidbit that didn't always make the news. Um,
Interesting. I'd like to know what criteria they use to determine who they're gonna
Oh,
bail.
without automotive industry,
Mhm.
over 1,000,000 people would be without jobs in
Right.
America.
But, I'd like to know, well, look at what happened with the steel mills that were shut down. Look at what happened with the, pipeline and, the everybody that was affected by that. Um,
Mhm. But if we were to lose the automotive industry, America would have been in a serious crisis.
mhm.
Even though we're only assembling our vehicles here just to turn around and sell them. And again, you got to remember, since the 1930s, when automotive really boomed, to the early 2000s, before when we started sending our, like, well, actually the late 80s through the 90s, when we started sending the actual manufacturing part of it overseas.
Overseas. Yeah.
How many people lost their jobs because of that? We're
Right.
talking hundreds of thousands, if not
Yep.
millions of people out of work because of it.
Mhm.
And that's why I said I want to see that kind of industry back in America, even if we're only known for making vehicles and we sell them to other
There
countries at a fair price. That'd
right.
be great.
I mean, there's a lot I think that can come back. My biggest complaint, as you know, is pharmaceuticals. I mean, the fact that China holds the majority of our medications that they're manufacturing. Could you imagine if they got pissed off enough or this trade war thing happened and they were like, "Hey, guess what? No medicine for you." And already we're seeing, I don't know about your location, but we're seeing, and it's been going on for some time, where they haven't been able to get shipments of medications in. Everything's
Oh,
on
my
back.
medications are usually, I have to wait a day or two before they can
Well,
make it in.
that it, and I'm always hearing it's on back order. It's on back order.
Yep,
So,
that's something I hear a lot of too.
mhm. So I usually, am requesting medications a week in advance. But the kick in the pants is the insurance company only permits you to have refills on a certain day, right? So if I'm requesting something 7 days or anywhere from 7 to 10 days out, the insurance company may say, nope, you got to wait 5 days. And then I put that request in, and the pharmacy's like, nope, it's on back order. You're not going to get it till next week. And then you might have to go without medicine. I mean, it's a mess the way it's been
Yeah.
working. So I'd like to see the the medical portion come back. There's no way that, to me, that's a national security issue.
Yeah.
Or if, could you imagine if they said, we're not going to do diabetic medication, for people that have type 1 diabetes, any of
It
it.
wouldn't be good. It
No.
would not be good.
So it's time that we bring all of this back. We can bring even I wanna see our customer service come back. I'd like to talk to
Oh,
someone
yeah.
that speaks English. I mean,
Hello, MJ.
mhm. I'd like to see somebody that speaks English that I can understand them. I don't wanna be rude or nasty, but, uh, I will actually get on the phone and say, "I apologize, but I wanna speak to somebody in the United States." And they do have customer service reps in the US,
They
but
just don't use them.
yep, they don't
It's
use them.
rare.
Mhm. And I say, "I wanna talk to somebody in the United States." And they'll be like, "1 moment, please." And, you can get transferred over. Uh
Or they send you to a person with a lesser accent or who's better
Mhm.
at American accents,
Exactly, exactly. That they pull that trick.
and they still trick you into thinking
Uh-huh.
you're talking to an
Right,
American.
right. Yeah, they do that too. It's pretty interesting. But alright, what else do we got with the bailouts? There's a couple of
Um,
articles.
yep, I'm on the A History of US Government Financial Bailouts.
Mhm.
Um, when private enterprises are in need of rescue, the government is often ready to prevent their ruin. Um,
And these are the
oh,
examples, I believe.
yes, the Great Depression was one. The savings and loans crisis, the conservatorship of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac,
That was the
the
student
collapse of
that
Bear
was
Stearns.
hold on one
Go ahead.
second, Crazy B. Was that student loans or was that also mortgages?
Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae both do mortgages, but Fannie
Right.
Mae does student loans as well. So I believe it was
The
a
combination?
combination.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
The collapse of Bear Stearns to rescue American International Group in the COVID-19 pandemic.
Those other
Up,
if you back
go
up
ahead.
a second, those other 2 I'm not familiar with. Bear Stearns
I'm
and the
not
rescue of the Amer
sure
yeah,
either.
don't
Maybe
know.
they'll explain it a little bit down further.
Okay.
Um, the Panic of 1792 was the first time the federal government intervened to prop up the markets. Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton, who later became a president, if I'm not mistaken, authorized purchases to prevent the collapse of the securities market. During the Great Depression, a government program to buy and refinance defaulted mortgages kept 1 million families in their homes. The savings loan crisis cost the government 160 billion in
Wow.
1990. Whoo, damn. In
That
response to COVID, the $2 trillion nonsense that we really didn't need, but they insisted we did. And also the COVID bailout was the largest with a tally of 4.65 trillion
that's
on
ridiculous.
top of that 2 trillion there. So yeah, that wasn't good. And again, I love how they kind of skipped over how much we put into the car manufacturers.
Right.
Um, I'm trying to see if they have it in here. The savings and loans bailout was in 1989.
Mhm.
That's the one you talked about.
Right.
The 2007, 2008. Where that's the automotive one. How much did that cost? 20 billion
Jeez.
in shares. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac was a housing market.
Mhm.
So that was them. And
So
oh
that
yeah, that
was
happened in go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say, so that was 2 housing issues.
Well, because they were letting anyone. They lowered the
Per
standards for
Yeah,
people to buy houses. And so
right,
people would get the loans and then never pay them.
right,
I know someone personally who did that. They bought the house, never made payments for 3 years. Finally, they got booted out. The bank took back over, and when the bank got the house, it was in worse shape than when it was sold to them.
right.
They actually made it worse.
Wow,
Um, GM was a healthcare company that happened to make cars, but unions support politicians, so Obama bailed them out. Okay. Um, there are not too many industries that are subsidized by the government. Yep. So Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae ruined the housing one. Here's the Bear Stearns. It was a mortgage related losses that took an enormous toll on the guy, the company, and an investment banking firm, not bankment, firm and brokerage founded in 1920. That They prevented the collapse in 2008. That was a 28.82 billion for them, on
Well,
top of all the other money in 2008 that was bailing out pretty much all of the
I
world.
mean, I don't understand why they let it get to that point, where, at some point, you're going downhill and you're not gonna
Hmm.
come out of it. Why does it have to get so bad? Why does it get to 20 billion? Why does it get to, 100? Somebody
Uh-huh.
explain that. Explain the math to me.
For AIG, they
Yeah.
bailed them out with 141 million in exchange for 92% ownership of the company.
And what is AIG?
American International Group. I believe they are an investment firm.
I've heard of them.
Oh no, it's an insurer of the world. They are took control of AIG to prevent the fifth largest insurer in the world from going bankrupt. AIG had faced steep derivative loss, and the Federal Reserve was worried its failure could severely disrupt financial markets. So they are some kind of insurance or
Oh,
insurer of some sort.
okay.
The COVID one we all lived through. The American Rescue Plan was a joke. Don't get me
That
started on
that
this
was
crap.
absolutely ridiculous.
I read those bills. I read all of those bills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah. And again, there's more to this article. You are free to go back and read all of it. I was kind of just jumping through because I wasn't familiar with some of these circumstances. But yeah, it was a mess.
Mm,
Our government likes to bail people out when and again, I understand millions of people out of a job because automotive or this agency that hires people across the globe or across the United States, that would have a detrimental impact on our economy.
mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I like it, but it is what it is. So, next one is Troubled Asset Relief Program. Did you want to take this one?
Go ahead. You can read that. I'll do the next one.
Okay, so TARP is a program the United States government to purchase toxic assets and equity from financial institutions to strengthen its financial sector, that was passed by Congress and signed into law by President George W. Bush. Uh-huh. Jr.
Mm,
It was a component of the government's measure in 2009 to address the subprime mortgage crisis. Yeah, this goes back into the idiots that were letting anyone buy a house. Um, so TARP allowed the United States Department of Treasury to purchase or insure up to 700 billion of troubled
mhm.
assets.
This is in
Commercial or
addition. Yeah.
residential obligations will be bought or other instruments that are based on or related to, such as mortgages, that in each case was originated or issued on or before March 14th, 2008, the purchase of which the secretary determines promotes. So basically, because of the housing issue that they started letting anyone buy
Mm,
a house, you can they turned around and bought it, and taxpayers had to pay them off basically.
mm-hmm.
That's bullshit if I've ever heard any.
Yes, it is. I mean,
And
it should.
again, if I'm
It.
wrong in my summary of this, please let me know.
I mean, we have what the information is. I believe that your assessment is correct. It's. I mean, it's crazy. In addition to what already has been passed, then something else is passed, and look at the dollar amount that's attached to it. No wonder why we owe so much damn money. It's ridiculous.
And we still got three more tabs to
Right.
go through.
Mhm.
and one more, and one that Brent sent me about the what the hell is it called? Yeah, the thing. Our debt.
Okay. The debt. Okay. All right.
He
Up
sent me
next.
some interesting info about this.
Okay. Art says because lobbyists got Congress to allow trading of debit instruments, it's because profitable to get everybody to have a mortgage. Then the 2008 crash, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they pretty much let anybody purchase uh, housing, and people that couldn't make the mortgage, as you said, Crazy B, they were in there for what, 3 months and then got kicked out.
Oh no,
And
3 years.
oh, 3 years.
3 years
They were in 3 years. I thought you said three
in
months.
this house, not making any payments towards their mortgage.
What? I thought you said
Yeah.
3 months.
Oh,
Three
no,
years?
no, no, no. 3 years
Wow.
of pretty much non-payment. They made like 4 or 5 payments and then decided they weren't going to pay anymore.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yep. And oh, don't get me started on how they stole gas. Um because, paying your gas bill is overrated as well. So have someone illegally hook it up, and oh, their electric was illegally hooked up as well.
Oh, tell me then their cable was too, or their.
Oh no, they didn't have cable.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No.
All right. Wow.
But
All
yeah,
right.
that kind of stuff is yeah, I know people who do that. And oh yeah, you should have seen the shit that came down on their head for it too.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's so. What happened? The sheriffs came one day and said out of the house, and you had to leave, like you
Oh
see.
no, they ran and hid before the bank could even foreclose on it.
Oh.
They knew the notices were coming in,
Uh
so
huh.
before they could even come in and force them out, they bailed and ran.
And did they ever catch up with them?
It damaged their credit score,
Oh,
like
well,
all get out.
obviously, yeah, obviously, but
Yeah, they're still they're still trying to get that cleaned up. I don't really talk to them anymore, but last I heard, it was still really bad.
wow. Okay.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
All right.
That's why, like, I'm looking to buy the house that we're in, but I wanna make sure we're financially stable enough to make the monthly payments on a mortgage before we do anything like that, because there is no way in hell I would put us in a circumstance where where we get in knowing we don't have the money to keep up with the monthly payments.
Well, not only that, remember we had the discussion early on in our economy segment
Mhm.
that uh, there's some recommendations that when you purchase a house, you want to double the cost.
Uh-huh.
Time you pay taxes, and you're going to need a furnace, and you're going to need, appliances,
Well,
and
luckily, everything here is already good, and the furnace and, like, the appliances will be sold with
yeah,
the house.
right, right.
So what we have here will come with it. And so, like I said, what the owner is looking for 150K
Uh
for
huh.
the house, even though there's no way it's worth it. And again, get it. We make our minor repairs as we can out of our own money instead of taking out a larger mortgage on it.
Right.
We just do that. And then we make sure we have enough for the closing cost and the down payment. But evidently, there's something in our state where if you're a first time home buyer, you don't have to do the down payment, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly. I've
So,
gotta look into
yeah.
it.
And there's also special loans for like FHA loans that you can get to help put repairs on the house, like if you need a new roof or whatever. But that's things that we can talk about a little bit later on.
Yep.
What's out there and what's available. Um,
Yeah,
oh
that's
yeah,
true.
BlackRock. Oh
BlackRock,
yeah.
Vanguard, and Art was saying, it's not the first time this has happened in the housing market situation. It happened in the '90s as well, where
Hmm.
they let a lot of people in and, or people had walked away because their mortgages were more than the house was worth.
Right.
And that's why I won't take out a mortgage or a larger mortgage or a second mortgage to repair anything in the home. Like I said, the paneling's warped. There's some gaps between the trim and the ceiling, and the windows are a little crooked. The frame itself is good, but they cut the paneling crooked.
Right.
So I would like to pull out the panels and put in drywall, stuff like that. But that's stuff you can do over time. You don't have to do it all at once.
Right. Right.
And we could save up 5,000 to redo the paneling with
Right.
drywall and then paint it. We can, eventually add a stand-up shower in the second bathroom upstairs.
Right.
But that's only going to need like $3,000
Mhm.
because there's already plumbing up there. You just got to tap into it by replacing a couple pipes, adding a new one to the connector, and there's your stand-up shower, and run a couple lines to the faucet part, the handles and
Right.
that. It's not a lot of work if you know how to do it and you know where to get stuff dirt cheap.
Right.
I'm a fan of Habitat for Humanity's resale shops
Yes. We
for
that
a reason.
right, and I think that's pretty much probably throughout the country.
I think
The
there was a day that Faye and I, before when I first started doing questions that need answers, she and I were in there just window shopping a
uh,
Habitat for Humanity store. And it was, a lot of fun just to
yeah,
window shop what they got. And
they
then,
have a lot
you
of
can go and
yeah,
pick them up.
right, they have a lot of old, new, old, all types of things.
Mhm.
The one thing I've been finding extremely interesting is they've taken a lot of property around us, which originally was supposed to be, when we moved in, it was categorized as green space. We were
Mhm.
considered the rural end of the township. I mean, there were, pigs, goats, horses, cows, fields of corn, all of that. Then slowly, neighbors started to sell the property off. They're building townhomes, which are nothing but glorified row houses, and they're going for $350,000. And
Uh-huh.
there are cars in front of every single one. Every single one has been sold. I want to know what the hell kind of jobs these people have in order to buy this $350,000 home.
Yeah.
And then there's new homes going in that are for $500,000 or more. And
Uh-huh.
who, how? I mean, I know the job market around here. I don't know where they're working or what they're doing. I mean, you can only have so many doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs. What are the rest doing? Is it two income families? Is it, three income families trying to pull it off? I don't know. Um, I can recall back, when I first got married, I went to my husband, had started his own business, and he went to we went to my boss's home for him to do some work on. He lived in a extremely expensive home, and I was
Mhm.
shocked when I walked into it because for their dining room table, they had one of those folding tables that you would see like at church, in a church hall for a dinner or them to play bingo on or something like that.
Yeah.
And he had folding chairs. So there was like a church table and folding chairs as the dining room table, and I was just in shock. So I don't know if some of them just buy the home and don't have all the furniture, but it is it's worrisome of how do people get themselves in a jackpot, and then how do you get out of it? It's I just don't understand how the job the not the job the housing market's going right now.
Yeah.
And I told you that they're looking to they came to my neighbor and will be expecting them, but he has 22 acres, and they offered him $1.5 million for it, and he said no, that he wants more money than that because they're gonna put up $600,000 homes, and
Yeah.
so then they're coming up the road. They want all of the land from his property all the way up to the other county line, um, and it's
Keep your
worrisome.
land as long as you
Oh,
can.
I know, but the trouble is they want to widen the road, And so mine is closer to the road, and I'm worried that they could come in and do eminent domain and take it.
Take
So,
part of your front yard.
no, take the whole house. If they're gonna try to widen the road, they'll take my whole
How
house.
can they do
So,
an eminent domain if
yeah, tell me about it. They
Oh,
can
I
do.
got I grabbed that link from you. So, oh, you have a second link. Or nope. No, it's the same link. Okay, yeah, I
it-
saw it.
Yeah.
I copied it and put it on our Discord server, so it's in the Wrecked Sisters chat if you guys want to read or it's a bit shoot, so it's a video.
Hmm.
So just I forgot to mention that to you, Cannabis, but yeah, I did grab that link. Thank you for at least tagging this time to let me know to remind you I got it. I do appreciate that very
And
much.
what link is that, Crazy B?
For the RDIF or
Okay.
RFID, whatever chips,
Okay.
the radio frequency
For the
chips that
dog.
are in the
Okay.
pets.
All right. That's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'll look into that this evening. All
All
right.
right.
So
Here's
next
the
up
next one.
is that
Go
the
ahead.
the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act of 2008. Now here we go with another act, uh, and that is will not let me in. Can you pull that up, Crazy?
Oh, you know you need a new link. You had the wrong link with
Okay. Can
you
you?
had the give me
Yeah.
one
Can you read
second.
that one? Can you read that, Crazy
Oh, I
B?
can read it. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, you accidentally added a T to the end of your search
Okay.
and
Oh, I
it
see
botched
it.
it.
Yeah.
So the I fixed it in the show notes. Don't
Thank
worry.
you.
Um, the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act of 2008, also known as the Bank Bailout of 2008 or the Wall Street Bailout. So along with all the other
Stuff. Yeah.
bailouts of 2008, we had this one. As was a United States federal law enacted during the Great Recession, which created federal programs to bail out failing financial institutes and banks. The bill was proposed by the Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson, passed in the 110th United States Congress, and was signed into law by George Bush. It became law as part of the Public Law 110 343 on October 3rd, 2008. It created the $7 billion Troubled Asset Relief TARP, which utilized congressional appropriated taxpayer funds to purchase toxic assets. So basically, what we just read in the last article.
Hmm.
Um, uh, B, please don't cough. It makes me want to answer, but must be a mating call. Oh my God, Art.
Uh-oh. She's gonna need her inhaler, or stop.
Oh God.
There- She's
Oh
gonna
God.
need her inhaler. I can hear it now.
So my coughing makes his cough want to happen.
Uh-huh.
So it must
There you
be a
go.
coughing mating call,
When he
like
calls.
yawning, like
Uh-huh.
yawning.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't get started about
Ugh.
yawning.
Why do I have this up here twice?
I know, I saw that. So get rid of it. I don't know why that happened. It
I
shouldn't have.
don't know why that's twice, but
I don't
okay.
know either.
So,
Get rid of it and just you should have the IRS document next.
yep, that's what
Okay.
I'm going
And
to.
that should be our last, I believe,
Yes.
the last one in the. Okay,
Well,
so.
other than an image that Brent sent me that I felt the need to share, and I posted a link to the website where he got it from.
Okay, cool. And all right, so this is the IRS, what they consider to be taxable income. And basically, they're saying most income is taxable unless it is specifically exempted by law. Income can be money, property, goods, or services. Even if you don't receive a form of reporting income, of course, you should report it on your tax return. Income is taxable when you receive it, even if you don't cash it or use it right away. It's considered your income, even if it's paid to someone else on your behalf. Types of taxable income can include payments you receive from employment, self employment, or side jobs. That includes freelance or independent contractor work, goods or services you sell online, gig work or side jobs, often through apps, renting out personal property, bartering services or goods, and royalties, businesses, partnerships, or other business entities, investments such as capital gains, stock options, splits or trades, interest, dividends, digital assets, or cryptocurrency, benefits that are paid to you, retirement plan distributions, pension or annuities, unemployment benefits, Social Security income, some life insurance proceeds, and some survivor benefits. Other types of income include tax returns, reimbursements and rebates, canceled debts, alimony payments, court awards and damages, some scholarships, gambling winnings, prizes, and awards. Related taxable and non taxable income, there's separate publications for that. And
Yep.
again, that's the end of the article, and you can click on any of those areas to find out more information. Uh, Basically, the IRS wants everything you have. So, uh, any type of work you're doing, any type of side work you're doing. I find it interesting. Uh, for example, I have work clothes that have brand new tags on them. You know, I ended up getting very ill and was unable to go back to work. So I have all of my work clothes that are in excellent shape that now would be considered vintage since they've been in the closet for almost 20 years. And so if I were to sell them,
You would
even
have
though
to pay taxes
I have,
as
yeah,
an income tax.
yeah, I have to pay tax on that. Even though I bought them, now I'm going to sell them for maybe more money, but maybe less money. I don't get to take a loss on the less money. I have to report that. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's like double dipping.
But remember, if it's under 9,000, you don't have to pay taxes. Or
Right.
9,000. You don't got it
Yeah.
in a year.
Right.
So
Uh,
that
it,
took me a minute. Oh,
yeah.
that was funny when I found that out.
Yeah.
I'm like, why won't they accept my son's tax return? No
Right.
shit. It's under.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was stupid
funny.
of me.
Yeah. It's okay. It took us a while, didn't it? We were like, what the heck's going on?
You're the one who's like, check the bare
Yeah.
minimum income
Right.
requirements. And I'm like, what? What minimum requirements? Because I started paying taxes in the 90s when
Mm-hmm.
I had a job. And that was when it didn't matter if it was $10 or
Or right.
$1,000, you had to pay taxes on it. So,
Right. But that
sorry,
was,
Art, I had to
yeah.
cough.
Yeah.
Tickle in my throat.
But that,
Um,
yeah, that was fun. I mean,
oh, that was funny.
yeah, we everybody needs to take a look. There is a minimum probably. It depends on your state. My state has a minimum, and
Oh, no.
obviously,
Well, the
so
state also has a minimum, but the federal has a minimum as
right,
well.
right. But it's ridiculous, and even to consider bartering services. I mean, how the heck do you go about that? You know, you bake
You
me a
give me a
cake and
dozen eggs, and I will
uh-huh,
paint your front bedroom.
exactly, ridiculous. So that whole system of I think bartering probably occurs and does not get reported, or if it does, it's probably
My
under.
dad does that. My dad does a lot of it.
Yeah. So
But Art wants to point out that there is an economic theory where every dollar is eventually taxed to zero.
okay.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And federal is about $600. Okay.
So that is the end of the.
Not
uh
yet. I wanted to show really quick
okay.
where our this is our debt since 2015
Mm-hmm.
to 2024. You
Okay.
can adjust it. This is just what Brent sent a screenshot of. Thank
Okay.
you, Brent. Major shout outs. We started off with about 18 trillion in 2015 and doubled it in 9 years. Damn
Mm-hmm.
near doubled it.
That's crazy. I mean,
We are going in debt faster than we can pay any of this off. and I have to budget the shit out of our biweekly checks just to get
Mhm.
groceries.
Right. I
But
don't know
they're
how
going and
people.
doing this kind of crap with our tax money.
Right. And this is what I'm saying is I have friends that are struggling, that have gone to pantries, that uh, have tried to get assistance, that have been denied assistance, that are, it used to be you could buy a dozen eggs and stretch a meal. You could have eggs for dinner with toast and whatever. Now, eggs in some places are $10 for a dozen up in New York City, which is
Yep.
that's crazy up there. But the cost of groceries, Eric and I argue when I grocery shop. I usually do larger grocery shopping, and I may have a $220 grocery bill,
Yeah.
but that lasts for up to 3 weeks. And you got to remember, I have the two cats and the dog. So right there, between dog food, and cat litter, add that all up. And so he's
That's
been
easily
arguing.
$50 or
Yeah,
more.
exactly. So he's like, can't you keep it to 100 or 150? And I'm laughing. And so we've really been getting into it. And I handed him the phone and I said, you know what? You take off what you think I shouldn't purchase.
He
You
had
take,
nothing.
yeah, you take off your breakfast stuff that you take to work with you every day. You take off what the bread, or, look at what a pound of lunch meat cost, or a
Oh
half.
god.
Yeah,
You know, we've been known to just save up the money, buy it bulk, and slice it ourselves and put it in
yeah,
our freezer.
yeah,
Sometimes it's cheaper to pay the $20 for the big old lump that they
yep,
sell in the meat department.
right,
You just buy it straight in the package from them. You can do that with cheese too. You can
right,
buy the whole thing
mm-hmm,
from them for like 20, 25, $30 and cut it to your own
right,
choices at home. We have a meat slicer for that reason.
right,
And I really would like to start doing that with cheese.
mm-hmm.
Start buying the long blocks of cheese from the meat
Meat
department
depart, right,
and just start doing that. My dad used to do that. My
mm,
mom and dad used to do that when they were married. My dad had the meat slicer, the cheese thing, the where it would shred it or make it fine grated. We would just
right,
buy blocks of cheese. He and I would sit and slice and package up everything in Ziploc bags. We had a 6 foot long, 3 foot deep chest freezer that was filled, and we also would buy like half a cow, half a pig,
yep.
and
And
just
but the
and then
price of
not
that,
including
yeah.
fishing and
Right,
venison.
right, and the price of buying a half a cow or a half a pig, typically I'd split it with, my mother, and now I'm doing
Uh-huh.
it with my son. And so we have the chest freezer, I have a small upright freezer, and you're trying to purchase things that are on sale. So I bought meat, have
Yep.
that frozen, but I then supplement it with, the vegetables, the potatoes, salad, things for a salad. It's it's so cost prohibitive anymore. Oranges, they want 6.97 for oranges. Straw I just I don't know how people are making it. I know the struggle and the difficulty that we're
Well,
having.
and again, I grew up art, good point. And I wanna get back to cannabis. Vacuum sealers.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
looking to purchase one. It is on my to-do list.
Yes.
It is very much on my to-do list.
Yes. My son
Cannabis
has one.
connoisseur says, "I barter. People love good organic cannabis." Yes, they do.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, in my state, it's 100% illegal.
Mhm.
Bible Belt region of the US, but they allow me to get kratom, but not cannabis. Go figure.
Yeah.
I can't use it anyways because it triggers my panic attacks, and that's a whole long story we could talk about later. Even it could drifting in through the windows leads me to a panic attack. It's weird. I don't even recognize it until the panic attack hits, and then I start sniffing the air, and I was like, "Oh, that's why." The government is in debt, not me. Yes, very true.
No, it turns around and makes it us. but,
Yeah.
uh, what time are we at, Crazy B?
We are at 1
Well,
hour and
okay.
28 minutes.
Well,
We have enough time for maybe 1 or 2 videos.
okay, so the information that you received, that we just finished up was all as a result. I don't want to identify their names because I don't have their permission, but was the result of two members in the Discord that went back and forth with their take on the economy. There was some agreement, there was some disagreement. I jumped in at a certain point and put my 2 cents in because we can put our 2 cents in on
Yes,
whatever
we can.
on, on whatever the conversation is, and but all of what we just discussed was a result of their conversation. And I feel it's important that if you're going to participate in the Discord or in the chat, that if we can, Crazy B and I will address what was said or questions that you might have or statements that you might have.
I know I haven't been very active on the Discord lately because I have been doing a ton of video editing, and I've got us almost a month ahead on content just in videos. So I do apologize if I have not jumped in on any of the Discord servers I'm on. Y'all know me. I usually am very active,
But
but I can start to
I,
slow things down
yeah,
now
I've
that
been
we're
cracking,
getting
yeah,
ahead.
I was cracking the whip on her, so I was, yep. I was, yeah, right, Crazy B.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, and again, it was also my choice
yeah,
to
I
get
know,
this far ahead on editing.
right,
I really
yeah,
do like to be ahead and not behind and
right.
scrambling last minute. Like, honestly, though, you did add that one video today, and I had to scramble. And it turns out we're not going to use it today, anyways. It's going to probably be tomorrow or the
That's
day
okay.
after because
Sorry.
we have over 90 minutes of videos on tariffs that are either pro Trump or against Trump. We have a pretty good balance of it.
Yes, and
And the
the
first
reason,
video
yeah,
I'm going to play
yeah,
is just an explanation of what a tariff is.
and the
And
reason,
then we're
yeah.
jumping into it.
And the
Sorry, go ahead.
reason, yeah, I was going to say the reason we're doing so much on tariffs is it is a hot and heavy topic right now in the United States. Uh, the Democrats are going to try to make this a big to do for 2026. Uh, and the videos that we've reviewed, like Crazy B said, are positive, they're negative, and some are everything in between. And they're just full of information that I don't think you've seen anywhere else. Or you may have, but we're trying to give you a good take on what is going on here in the country with the tariffs. And
Yes.
hopefully you'll be able to go away with information that you might not have otherwise. It may make you change your mind about your stance or your position on the tariffs. Uh, so we found everything about it interesting, and so because it's so hot and heavy, that's the biggest area, and we're going to wrap up the economy and we're going to be done with it hopefully tomorrow, correct? Come hell or
Fingers
high
crossed.
water. I think come hell
Yep.
or high water we should try to finish up. So I don't know if we could keep going on this because we have so
Yeah,
much other stuff
because then we
planned.
just become an economic that's
Yes,
not us. We're
right,
doing a variety of things.
right,
Honestly, we thought this would only take a week, and here we are now finishing off 2 whole weeks on this.
correct.
So, yeah, and the thing is we really gotta try to bust through those videos, because there is over 90 minutes of video. I have shortened them as best I can. Um, there will be links to the in the full description. It's just absolutely wild, what I have found, and trust me, trying to edit these and cut out what's not necessary to make it shorter is almost impossible. So, when I say we're trying to get the most information as with as much context as possible, unlike the news, which will just give you snippets, I'm trying to pull the whole deal together. So I'm hoping we will be able to get through them all tomorrow, but I can't promise that.
Let's
And
just
that's what
let's
sucks.
yeah, that's let's just correct that. That's we are trying to get this all pulled together.
That's true, we.
Crazy
It
B
is.
is the production, the executive producer production, although she was demoted for her take on the whole lag situation,
I I was
that occurred
right.
the other day. So
I was
she
right.
I know you were. She was demoted to production assistant, but because it was my end, I had to re-promote her back to executive producer. So, uh, as of right now, she does, I told you, all of the editing on the videos. She finds them, I find them, uh, send them over, and expect her to have it boom like a miracle. And we spent one day where she showed me what she does, and it's crazy how long it takes to edit a video. Um,
To
and
properly edit.
a
Some of
video.
these ones today, you're gonna notice it wasn't as well, actually, especially in the corruption videos, you're gonna notice that it was kind of, choppy, to
Right.
say the least.
But that's okay because they're corrupt, so they're choppy anyway, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes that, I haven't learned yet. Crazy B's been at this for a little longer than I have been. And I told you, we're working from 2007 all the way up. And I don't know, I have to give myself a little bit of time to get back
You
into
also
the
gotta give
groove of
yourself
things.
credit for how good you're doing with the 20-year gap
Yeah,
in the technology that you are using.
yeah. Like I told you, I wanted to purchase the new Word and Excel and that. And she's like, no, don't stop. Don't spend your money because what you have now, it looks exactly the same. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's,
It's just you were super
yeah,
zoomed in
right.
because, like me, we're both blind as a
Uh
bat,
huh. Yep.
and we need larger monitors. And there
Correct.
is a way, like we were discussing, how to hook your laptop to a small
Right.
TV or a
Right.
medium-sized TV,
Right.
and boom, you have a bigger monitor. Like,
Well,
I'm sitting
uh,
here with 2 27-inch TVs
right.
on my desk.
I might to hook it up to the 65-inch one in the living room. That then I don't think I'd have a problem at all.
And then you just use the wireless keyboard and mouse,
Exactly.
and you won't
And
have
that'd
any
be good to
problem.
go. Yeah.
And your microphone and headset would still work across the room.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That might be a good we might try that. That would be an interesting test. So, and everything we've tried is, as I said, brand new for both of us. The studio is brand new. Crazy I told Crazy B, I don't know how the hell she's figured out all of that. And there's still stuff in there we don't even know yet. We haven't touched on what to do. So, uh trying to keep, Rumble alive and uh YouTube, and we're going to try to go out onto X. Uh, and one of the funniest things, too, by the way, as you know, I have not said anything about donations or anything till probably next week or so. But just so you know, if we would have stayed with Rumble in their studio on that last video we did,
Oh,
correct?
yeah. Let me pull that up and tell the exact number. Hold on
Okay,
one second.
what was that?
What was our total earnings?
Yes,
Um, our total earnings, give me
would
2
have
seconds.
been correct if we would have stayed,
If
right?
we would have stayed on there, it would have been 35 cents.
Woohoo!
If
Woohoo!
if we're
35
using the Rumble
cents.
Studio, it
Yes.
would have been, yep. Oh, here, hey, look, here's the crowd.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. All that work that we put into uh our videos, we would have earned 35 cents for that.
Yep.
And I told you we're $400 in debt right now. So, uh we're well on our way. And then on YouTube, I told you we needed 300 subscribers and 3,000 watched hours in order to be monetized. And Crazy B got a notification saying, congratulations, you have 10 watched hours. And we're like, okay, we only need 2,090 uh, to go.
Oh,
I wonder how long that's going to take.
turns out BitChute has a live feature. Interesting. I might have to look into that. I know a lot of the studios don't connect with BitChute, so I will have to take a look into that.
Never heard of it.
Um, it's you if you
It's
want to
where
find something that is not allowed on any other platform, it's
it's
usually where you'll
where?
find it is BitChute.
Okay.
Um, a lot of conspiracy stuff, deep rabbit hole dives, some stuff that's just completely off the wall, unacceptably fake, but people
Okay.
still fall for it. I trust me, people have sent me there. I do have an account, but I don't remember my password and stuff, so I might have to set up a new one. But I will take a look into that option,
Okay.
because that would be a good place to send our videos too.
Okay.
Um, it would require upgrading the studio so we can do more live stream links, but it's a down the road thing. We'll
But
post the
we're
videos there after the live.
yeah. I, I mean, we're very pleased and very shocked at the same time of how
The
well
numbers we've been
the
pulling,
numbers we've been polling. Uh, Even YouTube, I mean, there's despite their being small, they're growing there, but
consistent.
they're consistent. But Rumble, boy, I don't know how we're kicking ass on Rumble
We're
for
doing good for
yeah,
being only a few episodes in on
yeah,
Rex Sisters.
yeah. I don't know how I we question all the time, like, what the hell is it that we're doing that is the draw? And again, we appreciate everybody that's in the chat. We appreciate everybody that's subscribed. Again, I'm going to ask you to please like and follow. That's the most important thing you can do for us. Our goal is to reach 37 cents. Oh no, 39 cents on Rumble will be our next goal. We're shooting for that dollar,
Well,
man.
here's the thing is we'll never see that money because we're not using their studio
Right, right,
to be able to get that income for the advertisements.
right.
So unless you are a partner with them and that requires using their studio for 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of screwed.
Right. And
Yeah, I was looking into hold on. I was looking into the Truth Social, but I can't figure it out how to go live. I don't know how to set it up or how to do it because I do have a Truth Social account and I would like to figure out how to do it.
mhm.
I do believe you got to be a verified member, like
Why
on X.
why don't we take a look at blue skies too? That would be fun.
Oh God, could you see us getting kicked off of there? The
Yeah,
hate we would get on there.
that would be very interesting, wouldn't it?
That would. But all if we were to live stream to all of those, we would legit have to upgrade the studio,
Right.
to be able to have more, and stream them all at once. And a lot of those we wouldn't be able to see the chat from because of the way the studios don't always link up directly. Like for I can see the Rumble chat, but I can't respond to it without having a pop-out chat available. So it's like there's a little bit of frustration with some of these studios not connecting right, but, that's again, they're working on it on
Podcast.
their end, not our end. It's not our fault, but I will look into some of these other platforms. We can just upload the videos after we're done. We don't have to go live on them, like I do with questions that need answers to Spotify, which I fucking forgot to do yesterday. Well, no one watches it on Spotify anyway, so I'm just gonna let the Spotify go. Um, yes, gamers are on Kick. I
I
stream to
love
Kick for my
you.
gaming. I do
Sorry about
stream,
that. Crazy
there.
V, am I back?
Yeah, you're
No, I'm
back.
not. Where am I? I'm
You're
lost.
here.
Bum,
D, we hear.
bum.
Uh-oh, she might have to leave and come back. Yeah, a lot of I stream to Rumble and Kick and Twitch and YouTube for my gaming stuff, which I'm trying to get back into, but I've been super busy. So, once we get this smoothed out, I can start doing my gaming again. And I usually game from about noon to 2 Eastern Standard Time. So, eventually I'll get back to it.
Crazy
Hello.
V, am I back?
Now you're back.
Geez, I apologize.
So, um, how long is this? This video is 12 minutes. Do we want to watch it or do we want to save it for tomorrow?
What time is it?
We got less than 15, a little over 15 minutes
Well, why don't
till
we
the 2 hour
say it
mark.
and we'll at least get rid of and get started with one of the videos because we can't guarantee what's going to happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah, if we can get this 12 minutes out of the way, we'll be down to like 80 something hours of video for tomorrow.
80 hours?
80 minutes, 80 minutes, not
Oh,
hours, minutes.
scare the crap out of me. Why
Shit,
don't you?
scare the crap
Okay.
out of me. 80 minutes of videos.
Well, we'll have to maybe do some of them at 1.5 times speed or whatever.
Like,
Well,
well, again, what I could probably do is pull them back into CapCut and speed them up, the
okay.
longer ones. But I think I already did that with most of the longer ones. We'll double
Okay.
check.
We'll see
Um,
how we'll see how quick the audience is. Do the if they can keep up at 1.5 speed, you know? What do we got
oh, I
going?
was just reading Art's tip here. Figure out where you get the best bang for your buck. That's the problem is,
But we're
again, most of them don't pay shit.
Yep,
No matter how good you are, unless you take on spot like the sponsorships, the ads where
ads.
you're
Yep,
plugging products, you're not making a lot of money.
right. And even with
Especially
yeah,
at a startup.
right. And even with the ads, it's not that much money. That's why you'll see when I get we get everything set up, uh I will be doing the begging for money. I mean, if people donated, if one person just gave us $1 today, that would be more money than we made on Rumble. And remember, Rumble also takes a fee out of that. So do
Oh,
YouTube.
any donations directly through Rumble, you only get 50%. And
Right.
they keep the rest until you're partnered with them, which requires using their studio for 30 days straight.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So we
It's a no-win
decided, yeah,
situation with these companies.
right. So
So
that's
that's
why,
why it's donation based only.
right. And like I said, if one person gave us $1 today, or even 50 cents today, that would be more money that we earned between YouTube and Rumble. It's
Yep.
just sheer craziness of how to make a living doing this. Um,
You got to be good. You
yeah.
got to be bringing something that people actually enjoy.
hmm So we're gonna give it our best shot, and it's gonna take a while. It's not something that's gonna happen, you know, in a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever. It's gonna take a while. So Crazy B and I are in for it for the long haul, and we made a commitment to one another, and we're gonna give it our best shot. And so, you guys that are on the ground level with us, are our core group and our supporters so far. You're the ones that have joined the Discord and have sent us either messages in the Discord or direct DMs, with information or suggestions. And we take that all into consideration. Ultimately, the final decisions on ours as to what we do. But, as long as we can address people's concerns, we will do that, until we get too big that, maybe that we won't be able to do that on a basis like we're doing now. But uh, I think it's pretty cool the way it worked out. Conversation between two members in Discord led to almost the whole day being taken up just in definitions and explanations of how the economy works. So I, for one, appreciate that they did that.
We do need to start this video, otherwise we're going to be running really late. So
Oh,
I'm going to go
oh,
ahead and hit play.
go ahead. And
I
we'll
just
try
want to,
not to.
yeah.
Is this one where we can keep our mouth shut and not say anything?
No, no, it's a YouTube one. We're gonna have to stop
Shit.
and comment here and there. If anything, I'll keep a time of where we left off and pick up from
Okay.
there
Sounds
tomorrow.
good. All right. Sounds good.
Here's hit and play.
Tariffs. The term has become completely impossible to avoid in the news lately. And you're not alone if it's left you scratching your head. What is a tariff? How do they work? Who pays them? And how will the US's potential new tariff platform affect you in your day-to-day life? You don't need a degree in economics to understand all this. So, let's start with the basics. What are tariffs? Thankfully, it's not actually that complicated. Tariffs are a special tax placed on imported goods from other countries. They're added directly to the price of goods as the import takes place. But what does that mean in practical terms? Let's say you're in the market for a new car. You can't decide whether you want a BMW imported straight from Germany or a Chrysler right from here in the US of A. The prices of the cars themselves are competitive, but why do you end up paying more for the imported Beamer? It might be because of a tariff on imported cars. But maybe we need to think a little bit bigger than that. Maybe you're not an average consumer. Maybe you're a company based in Silicon Valley, ready to create the next big thing in tech. But to do this, you're probably going to need microprocessors. They're required for everything from smartphones to washing machines after all. Taiwan isn't just an island in the Pacific, it's the microchip capital of the world, responsible for over a third of all global production. But if there's a tariff on tech from outside of the US, the costs might rise so high that your tech company will need to start exploring deals to build microchips right here in the US. This is how tariffs can affect not only whole products made outside of the US, like the BMW, but items manufactured in the US that are made from parts abroad, like the ambitions of our tech company. Still with us? Good. Now let's take a closer look at why countries use tariffs, because this is crucial to understanding why a government might want to put them in place. There are 3 reasons why a government might choose to impose a tariff: revenue, protecting domestic businesses, and as a political incentive against another country. Revenue is the most straightforward of the 3. The government wants to collect taxes to fund its own initiatives, so a higher tax on imported goods makes for more government revenue, especially if the tariffs aren't high enough to force companies to shift to US-based production. But if the taxes are severe enough that domestic companies consider a change, then the tariff might have been imposed to help protect domestic workers and manufacturers. The rise of economic globalization has led to a lot of US industries, from tech to textiles, outsourcing their manufacturing work to other countries, often in Asia. This not only encourages unethical labor practices like sweatshops to keep the manufacturing costs low, it also ends up affecting workers and companies in the US. Take, for example, the automotive industry that was once the lifeblood of Detroit, Michigan. Outsourcing automotive manufacturing, the move toward automation, and the increasing popularity of foreign cars moving into the US auto market had a ruinous effect on D-Town. Theoretically, imposing stronger tariffs would have helped both companies and consumers support domestic automakers and prevent their jobs from being outsourced overseas. And then there's the strategic political element. Tariffs might be a tool to help address a trade imbalance, also known as a trade deficit. This is a situation where a company is importing more than it's exporting, meaning it's perhaps built an over-reliance on foreign goods.
And that's what I point out about the automotive industry. You don't see a lot of our automotive stuff overseas. How many F-150s do you see in Europe? How many
You don't.
Dodge Rams do you see in Europe?
You don't.
So we're making all these vehicles and no one's really buying them except Americans, maybe some Canadians, maybe some Mexican country parts of Mexico and South Central America might, but for the most part, just the Western Hemisphere, like us, separate, will buy them. You don't see them anywhere else. So there's a major trade deficit because we have to import all the stuff that's manufactured to assemble here, but it's still cheaper right now because of the way the tariffs are running, that for them to manufacture elsewhere, ship it back here to assemble. And I think with if we can get this tariff thing worked out, maybe start bringing some of this stuff back so our vehicles can be cheaper, maybe get these other countries to lower their tariffs on importing our vehicles and start getting our vehicles elsewhere.
Right?
It would be nice. So, but yeah, that's one of the examples I'm glad he brought up about the automotive industry. But yeah, it is really bad the way our automotive industry imports more than it exports. Let me hit play.
Goods. However, trade deficits aren't necessarily a terrible thing. The US has actually run on a trade deficit since the 1970s, and the impacts of this rarely have a considerable effect against the average consumer. But still, if a government wants to address a trade deficit manually, then tariffs are a pretty good start. Making it more costly and inconvenient to import parts and goods encourages consumers to shop local when they can, giving exports a chance to keep up while imports falter. But this is an internal political strategy. What if you want to use tariffs to affect other countries with economic leverage? Tariffs can be used punitively, somewhat like a less severe approach to an economic sanction where trade with a sanctioned country is outright forbidden. Increasing tariffs against a particular country's imported goods can hurt them economically, and this can be used as a bargaining chip for wider trade or political negotiations. We've often seen this between the US and China from 2018 to 2020. So that is what a tariff is, and a few reasons why a country might use them. But there are a few much more serious and important details we need to get into now. How do these tariffs actually work? Who do the extra costs get passed on to? And how might some of the planned tariffs we're seeing in the news right now affect your wallet? First, let's address the how. Let's look at two different types of tariff and how they work. Type number one are specific tariffs. This is a fixed extra fee applied to an import, which will stay the same regardless of how much that import costs. Let's return to your BMW you're thinking about importing. If the government imposes a $2,000 specific tariff on auto products from Germany, you'll be paying $2,000 whether you're buying a $40,000 BMW X1 xDrive 28i SUV or a $120,000 BMW M850i. So that's specific tariffs. Then there's the other type, ad valorem tariffs. These added costs are expressed as a percentage of the value of goods. For example, a 10% tariff on fruits and vegetables grocery companies import from abroad, keeping the tariffs proportional to the specific goods. At first glance, tariffs might seem like a win-win. They protect local jobs and reduce dependence on foreign economies. But the reality is, tariffs can have a hidden side. Despite their good intentions, they often come with unintended consequences that can ripple through industries, raising costs and impacting consumers in ways we don't always expect. One of these consequences is making domestic industries worse. Without the competition of international trade keeping them on their toes, domestic companies might become an oligopoly, less accountable to the demands of their customers. After all, it's not like they can just go shop somewhere else. Less competition can also have another nasty effect for consumers. Without competition, no competitive pricing, meaning that consumers don't even end up saving money. On an international scale, like any political strategy, tariffs as a means to exert economic leverage on other countries could backfire. Rather than getting the concessions they want, the other party might just impose tariffs right back in retaliation, resulting in a trade war that ultimately just hurts both parties at once. We saw this again from 2018 to 2020, when the US imposed heavy tariffs against goods from EU member states and China. This resulted in a number of retaliatory tariffs against US products from bourbon to Harley-Davidson motorcycles. But what does getting hurt by a tariff actually mean? To answer that question, we need to ask ourselves another. When tariffs get imposed on goods, who actually ends up footing the bill? Well, to put it simply, you do. That's right. It's a huge oversight to think that the country exporting goods ends up paying extra. The purpose of tariffs is to make foreign goods more expensive for you, the consumer. It's a way to disincentivize you from buying those foreign goods and instead shopping domestically. Now, this sounds like a pretty simple plan in an ideal world, but a quick look out your window and at your bank account reveals none of us live in an ideal world. Lower-income consumers are often the ones most impacted by tariffs. They're already working with more limited options for where they can shop for basic necessities, including everything from food to bottled water to toilet paper. If the more affordable foreign goods end up being made more expensive by tariffs, people without much money to spare will end up paying more either way. You might think that small businesses would benefit from a rise in tariffs compared to huge multinational companies that heavily invested in international manufacturing. Well, the truth isn't actually that simple. In our modern globalized economy, small businesses may just be as likely to benefit from imported goods and parts. Without the same resources as their larger counterparts, a sudden rise in tariffs might throw their business into disarray. Tariffs might sound simple in theory, but in practice, the gap between their intended benefits and the actual impact can be significant. We've already discussed the theory at length here, but let's take a look at the practice for consumers and businesses. For consumers, a sudden spike in the price of imported goods can feel like inflation with no escape. In regions of the US that are heavily reliant on these imports, they're often left footing the bill if domestic alternatives aren't already available. Without the infrastructure to support replacements, many are simply forced to absorb these higher costs. And what about the businesses that need to acclimate to a high tariff world? They're left with only three options. The first is to carry on as normal and simply swallow the costs. This is inconvenient but doable for larger companies and potentially ruinous for smaller ones. The second option is to increase prices in order to maintain profit. This obviously doesn't benefit the consumer either, because they end up swallowing the costs. The third option is to uproot their current business practices and try to find a domestic supplier, which will be both complicated and time-consuming. This brings us all the way back to the most important question of all. How will the proposed new U.S. tariffs affect the consumer? As we mentioned earlier, the United States has run on a trade deficit since the 1970s. It's a country that relies heavily on imported goods. In fact, in 2023, the U.S. actually imported $3,100 billion worth of goods. This made up around 11% of the country's gross domestic product. That same year, tariffs brought in the government revenue of $80 billion, which accounted for only...
But when we're importing, our country really isn't making any money off of it. And again, it's not a fair balance. We need to be able to export as much as we import, in my opinion.
I agree.
Um, it's a struggle.
I mean, to
Um,
say from the 1970s till now, and we've run a
mhm.
deficit and it seems to be okay. I don't think it's okay.
It's
Why?
I know it benefits other countries
Right.
for us to be importing from
Right.
them,
And
but
they
it doesn't really fully benefit us because we're losing jobs, we're losing our ways to do things, and it's like I'm not
and,
okay
and
per se.
and in some additional videos that we'll be watching, they've identified that by us running the deficit, these other countries have become wealthy.
Yes.
So these other countries are based on what we, us being uh, job losses, industry losses, they've gained it, and their countries have become wealthy compared to us.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's right.
I don't either.
I mean, at least for Pete's sake, make it as close as possible that you could get it.
Yeah. That's my thoughts on it. But again, we're not being heard, we're not being taken into consideration.
Right.
Oh,
As
okay,
always.
he had an edit there, yeah. And so, again, a lot of these larger companies aren't going to be that very nice to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no matter what, people are gonna get hurt in
Right.
this process, no matter what.
Well, I think it's been a long time coming.
Well, unfortunately, we need to fix it.
I mean,
We
we're
definitely need to fix it.
we are trillions and trillions of dollars in debt.
Yep,
Something has to give here. And
it
I mean,
does.
and
But good
I
luck.
right, and even changing the trade deficit, the trading, that's not enough to get us out of debt.
It's not. That's true.
So I don't know what we're gonna do.
Well, we gotta do something. That's the thing. Embrace the suck. Thank you, MJ.
Mm,
It feels like it's okay for everyone to do to us, but we are out of our minds for even considering doing it back.
right,
The thing Trump left out of his calculations was the amount of services we sell to other countries, but it's a longer discussion. Yeah, and there's some videos that are going to cover this. That will be showing probably more tomorrow than today.
hmm,
Because like I said, we're limited on time. Um, we still have how many more minutes? We still have 3 more minutes. So let's try and get through this really quick and go from there.
go ahead,
Um,
get it, crazy bee.
About 2% of their overall tax revenue. The most popular imported goods include crude petroleum, cars, broadcasting equipment, computers, packaged medicaments, motor vehicle parts, and accessories. There's also refined petroleum, vaccines, blood, antisera, office machine parts, and integrated circuits, all things that the U.S. would benefit from reliable access to. The planned tariffs range from a 20% ad valorem tax on general imported goods, a 60% tariff on Chinese goods, and even a 200% tariff on foreign autos. So, you can kiss that BMW goodbye, unless you're willing to pay twice its price on the tariff alone. In the interest of fairness, one possible outcome of these tariffs is a boost to domestic production. And if the foreign exporters are desperate enough to keep customers in the United States, they could lower their prices significantly to offset the potential price hike from the imports. However, while this isn't impossible, it is highly unlikely based on tariff precedents. Between 2018 and 2020, when tariffs were hiked across the board, studies into the matter have shown that the costs were ultimately passed on to the consumers rather than improving the life of the average American. Will things be different now? Well, the University of Chicago asked a panel of economists whether they agreed with this statement. Imposing tariffs results in a substantial portion of the tariffs being borne by consumers of the country that enacts the tariffs through price increases. 98% of them agreed. The Peterson Institute for International Economics suggested that the proposed tariffs would lower the income of the poorest portion of Americans by 4%, and even the wealthiest Americans by 2%. And if that wasn't a bad enough deal already, multiple economists have speculated that the tariffs will cause another spike in inflation. Not to mention, things will get even worse if some of the affected countries, which have considerable trade relationships with the U.S., like China or Mexico, decide to institute retaliatory tariffs of their own. Claims that the tariffs will protect U.S. manufacturing jobs also don't seem to hold water either. In 2018, the U.S. introduced a 25% tariff on imported steel, but over the course of the tariff's employment, a net 4,000 jobs in steel were still lost. The rise in American steel prices didn't just affect steel producers, it sent shockwaves through other industries that rely on steel for manufacturing. From car makers to construction firms, many were hit with soaring costs, and the result was painful. There were job losses across the board as businesses struggled to stay competitive. Even if you're not buying expensive imported cars or importing steel for factories, you are still likely to feel the pinch at your local grocery store. Common ingredients like garlic are often imported from China, which will be heavily impacted by the 60% proposed tariff. Supply chain issues and a lack of availability will likely follow while new trade partnerships are brokered. And because of the lack of competition, you might still experience higher prices even when new supply chains level out. Whether any of this will make the U.S. government change course in their tariff plan, we'll just have to wait and see. Are these proposed tariffs a smart move or a risky gamble? Think they'll help or hurt us?
Okay, yep. So that's definitely some of the things that have me taking consideration into this. I know trading with the world helps everybody, but in the meantime, we're also running out of jobs. And we have people who desperately need jobs. And a lot of people who are just too lazy to take the jobs that are available to get a start because it's not paying the price they were promised in the college classroom.
Right.
And I agree, start shopping at growers markets and buy
Mm.
local. Yep. And that's the thing is you can grow your own garlic. It's not hard. I have bought a garlic from the store, taken the cloves, dropped them in the ground, and left them for about a year, year and a half, and ended up with double what I had started with. You can grow your own. It's really nice to do. Just gonna point that out.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be done. Uh, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. I mean, they
It's
the last
scary
it is, and the last I heard, there were 75 countries that came to the table uh,
to negotiate better
to
pricing.
negotiate. Right, the Dems are having a heart
They're
attack
having their
over this.
fit.
Yeah, they're having fits over this, and and you heard the word was going around to Trump's chaotic. The word was chaos. He was creating chaos. Every single station was playing that word, using that word chaos. And I don't know. I'm just right now of the mindset of we've been doing the same old for the same old, same old. with promises that things would be changed, and it's never been done by our politicians. And Trump's been the first person to come in and doing what he's saying that he would do. He
Yep.
said that he was going to do tariffs during his campaign. He said that it was going to hurt for a little while until things got adjusted. But the fact that he's exposed China for what they are to these other countries, I think, says a lot. And I say give it a try, give it a whirl,
Yeah.
and see what happens. Um, Worst case scenario, we go back to doing business the way that we had been doing it. I mean, we can't keep going on the course that we're going, doing the same things over and over. You know, I think Crazy B, you said that was the definition of insanity, right?
Oh, yeah. Albert Einstein said it, but yeah.
Hmm. Well, you repeated it,
Yep.
and uh, something's got to be done, and I don't know how we're going to get out of the hole that we're in. I can remember back when the with the amount of money that we owed. Do you remember there was, I forget who put it in, but it was called the penny plan, and it was like if every American, including children, gave a penny, the deficit would be paid off. I'll have to look that up and see what I can find on it. Um, but it talked about
Maybe in the world, not in the United States. I mean,
there was
if we get
some.
a penny every day for a year,
Yeah,
maybe.
I forget, it was, there was something about a penny that if people paid so much, and I'll look it up and see what I can find on it. But
Yeah.
it was, how the heck are we going to get out of this hole that we're in? What if our debtors called in the debt and said, you know what, we want our money? Then what do
We're
we do?
screwed. We're
Yeah.
screwed.
And who owns the largest portion of our debt?
China, Japan,
Uh huh.
Taiwan, a
Uh huh.
couple
Yep.
others.
Yep. Could you imagine if China called that in, the marker in, said we want our money?
Speaking of China, Cannabis put this in the comments. The CCP runs most of the cannabis industry in Oklahoma. It's
Wow.
Chinese run.
See,
Interesting.
here we go. Another business, another area that they're involved in. I believe that they were trying to put forward a resolution saying that no foreign country was allowed to buy American land anymore. But
Yeah,
I don't know if they're going to go after those that have already purchased and try to get it back.
I am not sure, but
Yeah.
it's insane to think about.
Yes, it is. I mean, if I owed that kind of money, that would keep me up at night.
Mhm.
And and billions go by in interest, and it's just supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
It,
Steven Crowder did a documentary on the CCP running the cannabis industry.
oh, cool. We'll have to check
Yep.
that out.
It's on Rumble.
Hmm. All right. Well, I'm done for the day. I don't know about
Yeah, I was
you.
gonna say we're at 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 38 seconds,
All
so,
right.
yeah.
Well,
And I'm gonna have people walking through the door wanting food, wanting to know what this, and then someone saying, "I just wanna rest," and everybody else is wanting
uh-huh.
things, so
And the
I'm gonna
dog's
have to do the
barking.
mom mode.
Yeah, Jacob, his dad called and said he had to go outside for a couple minutes, so he's out and
Yeah.
will be back. But the dog's barking to get let out, and it's that time. And
Oh, I just heard the car door close, so
there you go. All right,
alright, folks.
we
We're
appreciate
gonna
it, and we will see you tomorrow from 3 to 5 o'clock to finish.
Eastern,
Yes,
make
Eastern Standard Time to finish finally the economy. And if you don't know anything by then, I don't know what to tell you. This is going towards my doctoral thesis, and hopefully, we're not going to have a quiz tomorrow when it's over.
I
So, all right, I'm done, Crazy B.
alright, and I'm gonna do the stay safe, stay sane, stay sober. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Oh,
Sorry today was a little bit longer than expected, but hopefully tomorrow won't have to be. It's probably going to carry over for over 2 hours.
just get
I'm
used to it,
promising you
right?
this.
Yeah.
Just be prepared. And oh, yes, that's right. Common Censored will be on tomorrow night around 7-ish Eastern.
Great.
He tends there's a running joke about him being Lord Tardy instead of Lord Sterling, but
Exactly.
definitely go check him out. And I do believe Lady Hamilton has a live later today or tomorrow, so we shall see how that goes. But I've got to go do the mom of the house thing. So I appreciate y'all, and we will catch you tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.